Hello, this is Mike Searles, the comeback coach, on a mission to help 100,000 people come back from setbacks that keep them stuck. Welcome to this episode of the Comeback Coach podcast. You know, all those years ago, Earl Nightingale wrote, "If most people said what they were thinking, they'd be speechless." I think he meant most people's heads are empty vessels most of the time. He literally meant that most people don't think. I wonder what Earl Nightingale would think about today. I mean, aren't you still scratching your own head over the rush buying of toilet paper earlier in 2020? What were people thinking? Obviously not much. There must have been some thinking involved. Otherwise, all those people who bought toilet paper in bulk quantities wouldn't have done so. So let's ask the question then. Where did the thoughts that motivated the panic buying of toilet paper come from? Here's where, and you probably already know the answer, from outside sources. It works like this. There is a danger when not thinking about our thinking, when not having a conscious filter in place to separate positive from the negative thoughts which are popping in and out of our heads every day. The danger is that not thinking opens the floodgates for other thoughts from other people's thinking. That's people in government, people in the media, strangers on social media. Other people's thinking all too easily becomes our own thinking. Frankly, I think the idea is horrible. What about you? Cognitive behavioural therapists have an antidote for this kind of thing. It was Albert Ellis, a psychologist of last century, who invented CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, to help fix just the problem we're talking about here. The problem of unhealthy, unhelpful, and generally unwanted thoughts dominating our feelings and behaviours. Ellis taught a simple process for disputing those negative thoughts in such a way as to nullify their potential negative effects. If interested to know more about this do-it-yourself formula fixing your thinking, read the book Albert Ellis wrote titled A Guide to Rational Living in an Irrational World. It's easily found with a search, and there's some YouTube videos about it as well. So let's just recap what we're talking about here, and allow me to be radically honest with you if I may. Chances are most of your thinking is habitual. It's negative and not very helpful, especially if you're stuck in a rut after a setback and find you can't get out. Now, through no fault of your own, the negative thoughts you have every day happen on autopilot, or at least most of them do anyway. They're surfacing up from your subconscious mind. There's ways to clear these negative thoughts and beliefs from the subconscious mind. That's part of what I can do when coaching people on coming back from setbacks. A few more quotes on thinking from wiser minds of the past. Prentice Mulford wrote a book over 100 years ago titled Thoughts Are Things. Napoleon Hill wrote in his book Think and Grow Rich that thoughts are powerful things. And Earl Nightingale said in his recorded message, The Strangest Secret, we become what we think about. I've discovered that we most certainly do become what we think about most. In fact, we get precisely what we don't want in life largely because of our thinking. So think on this for just a moment. Many of the thousands of daily thoughts we each have every day are habitual and negative in nature. And by the way, a new study suggests we have some 6,000 thoughts each day. That's a study from a team of psychologists at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. The researchers used the latest brain scanning technology to detect in human subjects when new thoughts were firing along the wires of their brain circuitry. So make no mistake, thoughts are things, physical things, measurable by modern science. Now, whether it's 6,000 or 60,000 or 600,000 thoughts every day, who cares? Let's keep it simple. We have lots of thoughts every day, most of which we don't give any conscious attention to, because most of the thoughts we have are habitual. They happen by habit. And as Earl Nightingale said, most people, if they said what they were thinking, would be speechless, because most people, most of us, myself included, we don't think enough about our thinking. Habitual means we make no conscious decision for the thoughts to appear. They pop in and out of our minds almost as if on autopilot. And negative means just that. Most of our daily on autopilot thinking is negative. So what does all this add up to? How can this help anybody stuck in the midst of a setback and who wants to get out? Well, the mantra is this: negative thoughts lead to negative things. How might this show up in somebody's life? Setbacks in health, finances, relationships, business, etc. Setbacks that can keep you feeling stuck. Now, you might want to fight me on this. You might want to argue that the setbacks you're possibly suffering have nothing to do with your thinking per se, and everything to do with situations and circumstances outside of your control. Like one person said to me recently, I don't think I brought COVID into my life due to my thinking, and obviously not. But I did suggest to that client this: to what degree the whole pandemic affects your thinking, your emotions, your disposition, your concept of the future, and your actions. I say all that and more is most definitely 100% under your control if you're willing to think about it. You see, the bottom line is this: you can change your life by changing your thinking. If you're not willing to change your thinking, then, to be brutally honest, we give up all rights to whine about our situation in life. Permit me to close with something said at the end of Alcoholics Anonymous meetings throughout the world. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Final word: you can change more things in your life than you are currently aware of. Think on that. This has been Mike Searles, the Comeback Coach, on a mission to help 100,000 people come back from setbacks, and thank you for listening.